Welcome to the second episode of Red Talk. This week we're going to talk about who we could sign if we could sign anyone to Manchester United. Will all the money over at noisy neighbours City and Real Madrid actually make them win their titles this year? The Berba Debate, whether to sell him or keep him. Now the first thing we're going to talk about this week is who would we sign if we could sign anyone to United. Now Josh, taking out money, whether they want to come, financial situation, anything like that, who would you bring to Old Trafford?
Well, if we happen to have a cool £250 million sitting around in the bank there, then I think you'd look no further than the World Player of the Year, Messi, of course. Obviously being the best in the world, he'd add a lot to the side, and he's such a great player to watch as well. I think it's a no-brainer, really.
I don't think you get too much argument out of us. What about you, Will?
I'd have to go with Luis Fabiano. I think he could be someone that we'd use well up front there, and he'd complement Rooney as well, and he's obviously quite a skillful player. So. Yeah,
and he's not too unrealistic as well, because he's actually said that he does want to come to United. So.
On numerous occasions.
What about you, Nick?
For me, it's got to be someone strong at the back, and I think re-signing Gerard Piqué, I think that was one of the worst players that we ever let go. We let him really slip through our fingers, and I think if we had him, it just add so much strength and depth at the back, because we've got obviously a few centre backs that we can call on, like Ferdinand and Vidic if he stays, and if we had Piqué, it'd just add another element.
I have to say I would sign Pato from AC Milan. Now I mentioned him in the first episode. A bit of a fan of his, and was annoyed that he got cut from Brazilian squad at the World Cup. But I probably don't necessarily need him at Manchester United, but just he's the player I'd most like to see in a Manchester United shirt. Now during the transfer window, there's a lot of speculation about where players are going to head to. Now two of the places that are said more times than anywhere else that have to be Manchester City and Real Madrid, and there's been a lot of buzz about players that are going to head there. Now the question is it going to make any difference with all throwing money at players this year? What are your thoughts, Nick?
Well, I think it depends on the board. I think a lot of the times the boards are trying to control the transfers more than the managers, and they're just not letting the managers have the freedom they want. They have the money, but they want to spend it in a particular way. And I think that you can see with the signings of Robinho, I don't think that was really down to the manager too much. I think that was more just a big name. And I think it'll change now probably at Real now that they have Mourinho in there, because they haven't really had, apart from Capello who they had previously, they haven't really had a quality manager in there to manage the funds and to use it a certain way. And I think that once they get a definition between the boardroom and the managerial side of things, I think that'll bring success, but only to a limited degree.
Yeah, I think it's a bit harsh saying they haven't had a quality manager, and I think it's more, or maybe what you meant was more a big personality manager who really imposes themselves on the club. And I think with Mourinho as well, like you said, he's going to spend sensibly. He's also going to buy players that he really knows well. He's obviously been rumoured to be signing virtually the whole Inter squad and bringing them over with him.
And he's not going to take anything. Like he was not going to be pushed around by the board. He's going to say, "Well, you're going to do it my way, or I'm going to leave."
With Real Madrid, whether they're going to win the league this year, you have to look at Barcelona and see that they've already bought David Villa, which has really improved their team. They're already great team already.
That's a big blow to them as well, because that's who they were aiming to buy, David Villa and David Silva. So
yeah, exactly. So I think Barca have already strengthened, and they've already got such a great team together, and it is a team rather than a group of individuals like Real Madrid has tended to be with all the new players coming in. So I think Barca still have to be heavy favourites.
Yeah, and I think the thing about Real Madrid signing someone like Mourinho, he's probably the missing piece in the jigsaw, if you like. They've got the good players, the quality players there, and I think he'll bring the best out of them, and he'll probably get them to gel better than anyone. What are your thoughts, Croydon?
Well, in regards to Manchester City in particular, because we've talked a bit about Madrid, but in Manchester City now, Mancini came in and said, we're going to finish top 4 and that's a guarantee. And despite losing many games throughout last season, he still said that, and they didn't qualify for Europe. So I honestly don't think he's brought too much to the side, apart from making a scarf a fashion statement for the supporters. So like he's mentioning a few names that he's going to bring in, but I really don't see them doing any better this season. I think they'll probably go even worse.
And they're still not that big a draw card for players. I don't think Man City, since they're still not in the Champions League, and until they get there, they can't really get the massive top tier sort of names to the club. They just have to buy suitable players.
I think they could be pushing if they did some better tactical decisions. Like throughout the end of the season, Stephen Allen wasn't playing. For me, he's one of their best players. Well, he's their best player for me. He's really the heartbeat of their midfield. So.
Yeah, they've got to remember not to discard the players that are already there.
I also think last season, the fact that they didn't qualify for the Champions League, I think players that maybe have been offered to come to Manchester City and they've seen that they've spent all this money like they did in the last transfer window and they still didn't qualify, that's going to just make them think, why would I go there? Because I think they probably will fail again. And
they're not quite there yet.
They're not quite there yet, and I think they really do have to qualify this season, and otherwise they're going to really struggle to get talent there and to keep them there.
And if they don't qualify again, it's just going to be a vicious cycle and just going to keep on turning over the squad.
And the only players that they're getting are the ones that are financially motivated rather than actual accomplishments.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not trying to build all, they're trying to have instant success, which kind of happened at Newcastle for a few years, and then look what happened to them. So I think they really need to.
As well.
They really need to think this could be, say to their supporters, this could be a few years.
Yeah, they should
give us a bit of patience. I know they've waited for so long, but obviously the approach they've got right now is not working, and they need to change something.
They really should have gone in with a long-term sort of plan, because you can't just buy success in football. You can't just buy the 11 best players and then they gel immediately, because football's a team game and you've got to have the right tactics and the team gelled.
I think when Sven-Göran Eriksson was there, he was doing a really good job of managing them. They were playing a lot better. They might not have. I don't think they were owned then by the
current owners.
By the current owners. But yeah, so I think that he was good tactically, and he might not have been a good tactical manager for England, but he was a good manager for them.
He's also a draw card personality. Players want to play for Sven.
I think also, like we've seen it before, excuse me, Real Madrid, they've done it so many times over the years. They've brought in the big names, but they haven't really had any success. And I think that they've proved that again this time. They've brought in Ronaldo and Kaká and Benzema, obviously, and they finished second in the league, and
failed to win any other
trophies.
Yeah,
so
a big problem for them is the clash of egos as well. With Kaká and Ronaldo, they used to having the whole team built around them, and now they're both at Real Madrid and they are both in the same team and they have to work together. So
just getting back to City, I think Manchester City should leave Mancini, keep Mancini rather, and give him a chance to build a squad, because he's really come in 1 year and had to try to build a team around players who were already butting heads to begin with.
Yeah, that's
had less than a season, really, hasn't he?
That's another of the problems with Real Madrid as well, chopping and changing the manager all the time when they don't have success immediately.
I also think with Real Madrid, the players they tend to go for, I suppose you could say this for City as well, they look for established players. It's David Beckham, after he'd had such success at United, Ronaldo the same, and there's so many other players that they look for, and it seems it's rarer for them to go searching for talent that hasn't proven themselves yet, and it'd just be so much better for the long term, I think, if they would do that.
Though credit to City and to Mancini as well for going for Adam Johnson in January, because he really wasn't proven at the top level yet, and they brought him in and he did really well when he came in. So yeah, that might be a sign that Mancini's starting to establish himself and making his own signing, so to speak, rather than the board making them.
I think Johnson should have been in the